We good?
We good.
We are good. Alright, we're gonna go into the tumultuous years now.
Ah, yes.
Well,
the 80s. Wait.
Yeah,
what
let's...
are you talking about?
Phase 2 of the MCU.
Oh, right. Okay. Let's do this.
It's Marvel! The General Geekery Podcast presents March Marvel Madness!
I always feel like I should do something too when you do that, but I don't know what to do.
We'll figure it out one of these days.
Wait. No, I haven't thought of something, but next time I will have thought of something and I will do it. When you say it's Marvel, I'm going to do something equally awesome.
Yes. All right.
Simultaneously or immediately afterward.
Fair. More than fair.
Okay.
Let's dive right on in. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the General Geekery Podcast. The podcast where we geek out about all that we love to geek out about with no remorse, no regrets, and with all of the enthusiasm in the world.
Indeed.
As always, we are your hosts of this adventure through geekery. I am your resident coffee ninja by day, actor, gamer, streamer by night, Donald Kaczynski back once again. And joining me, as always, she is the artiste extraordinaire, dice slinger magnificent, the wonderful and witty Hannah Kubiak.
Hello.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second edition of Marvel March Madness 2021. Nice, I like it.
I panicked!
So, if... You good?
Yeah.
So, if you guys haven't watched our first episode talking about Marvel March Madness 2021, definitely go check that out. For this month, we are talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're going through each phase episode by episode, and just because we do have 4 episodes this month dedicated to it, the last episode of the month, we are going to be talking about one of the latest projects in the MCU. For those that know, definitely keep an eye out for that as the timeline comes along. So, for right now, let us talk about probably one of the weirdest times in the MCU. Phase 2.
It was the weird of times. It was the tumultuous of times.
It really, really was.
All right, so what do we got in Phase 2, Donald?
Okay, so, in Phase 2, starting it off, a year removed from the first Avengers film, Iron Man 3. This one was not directed by Jon Favreau. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Mm-hmm. But he is in it.
Was there a giant Iron Man? Or am I thinking of something different?
You're thinking of a different film in this phase.
No, I'm not thinking of Ant-Man. I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, you're thinking of a different film in this.
It might be Wolverine. Some sort of giant robot thing. Okay, anyway.
You're thinking of the Hulkbuster from Age of Ultron.
Am I? Well, I've never seen Age of Ultron, as I told you last episode.
Fair.
I don't know what I'm thinking about. Continue.
Following that is Thor: The Dark World. Get to that when we get to that. After that is Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Oh, yes.
Following that, the film that shocked everybody, Guardians of the Galaxy. And then we had the second Avengers film, Avengers: Age of Ultron, and rounding out Phase 3 was the very first Ant-Man film.
All right.
So, a lot to talk about. There's a lot to dissect from this. So, let's talk about Iron Man 3. This one was very, very anticipated by everybody that went to see the Avengers in theaters.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people found this film to be slightly disappointing, like following.
I know I might have if I knew whether I'd seen it or not.
But this is actually a little bit like a controversial kind of thing that I have said to my friends and everybody that I know, but I actually really enjoy Iron Man 3. I actually enjoy Iron Man 3 more than I enjoy Iron Man 2. Mainly because it's kind of like also it's a continuation of the MCU, but it also serves as kind of like an epilogue to the first Avengers film.
Okay.
Because in the final moments of the first Avengers, Iron Man, Tony Stark, basically had to guide a nuclear missile through the portal that the aliens were invading from, the Chitauri.
Yeah.
And basically he was like stranded out in space for a little bit of a time before he went back to the portal to get back. And that basically gave him more PTSD than the PTSD that he was already dealing with.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, Tony Stark is just basically PTSD upon PTSD in a crack pipe.
Yeah, pretty much. I enjoy that description there.
That's kind of the best way to describe, like, his character development.
Let's just peel away that layer of PTSD and just see what's underneath. Oh, it's PTSD.
PTSD for days? PTSD for days. So, yeah. Starting off from that, again, it was a little bit of a slower paced one. A lot of people at the time, at least when I talked with them about it, like, they were like, why are the other Avengers like helping out with things like this? That it's kind of a thing to understand, like, in the universe of like comics and stuff like that. The Avengers were mainly brought together because of a last minute thing.
Right.
Like, they're not always going to be able to work together, like, in situations. Like,
yeah, they've got their own stuff they're dealing with.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a giant crossover.
Pretty much, yeah. And then from that, obviously, multiple different things happened. They were dealing with the Mandarin plot, which is basically this terrorist force that was basically terrorizing America, and Tony basically calls them out. He gets attacked, and for a good majority of the film, he is basically without the Iron Man armor.
This sounds familiar. I might actually be thinking of one of the Wolverine movies again.
Yeah, possibly.
There was a Wolverine movie that I vaguely remember seeing that took place in, like, China.
Oh, you're thinking of the Wolverine, and it was Japan.
Japan, that's right.
You're thinking of the Silver Samurai. I know exactly what you're talking about now.
Yeah. Okay.
Unfortunately, that doesn't tie into the MCU at this
moment. Not at all. No.
As far as we know.
I don't know.
But anyway, there is a good majority of this film where Tony does not have access to the Iron Man armor, and he's basically MacGyvering his way through this film. Like, that's the best way to describe it. He is basically a high-tech MacGyver. And ultimately saving the day and rescuing Pepper. And the big thing...
Here I go, making a weapon out of a corkscrew and a lamp!
And it's just him dealing with the PTSD of the aftermath of New York, because he's become so OCD to the point where he's built nearly 36 different kinds of armors following New York, because he wants to keep the thing he loves most safe, which is, of course, Pepper. Like, and he doesn't even realize that it was basically alienating her from him. And until he basically destroys all of his suits at the end of Iron Man 3 and actually goes through the operation to get the shrapnel around his heart that happened with the bomb in Iron Man 1 removed, so he can have the arc reactor removed from his chest.
Nice.
So he could properly move on. Of course, we knew this wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But we thought for a time, like, Iron Man was done.
Yeah.
So there was some disappointment, like, following that, but the film was still, a hit.
Yeah.
Like, at the box office. Like, I think its sales equaled out to a little bit less than the original Avengers.
Wow.
But it still grossed over $1 billion, which is still huge.
Yeah.
Especially at a time where a film grossing over $1 billion was really something to sneeze at.
Yeah.
Because only a few films had done it before.
Yeah, well, yeah. While you were telling me the plot of that one, I know now I have not seen it, because none of that is at all familiar.
Fair. Iron Man 3 is an easy one to overlook, but I did
indeed overlook it.
I still rank it pretty well, like, in terms of the films. Like, I certainly enjoyed it more than Iron Man 2. I remember more of it than Iron Man 2.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happens when you stay awake during a movie, Donald.
and for me, I think it just carries more narrative weight than Iron Man 2 did. For me.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. Yeah.
There's a lot of people that disagree with me on that. I know I certainly got a lot of jeers from people in my chat room when I did a live ranking of me ranking all of the MCU films from worst to best. Mm-hmm. And I put Iron Man 2 near the bottom.
Yeah.
And then I put Iron Man 3 somewhere in the middle, and they're like, "What is wrong with you?
You uncultured swine."
Someone actually did say that.
Really?
Someone actually did say that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, well, excuse me. Well, they were actually a little bit more offended by the film that I put previous to that, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Okay.
And then, I almost don't want to talk about this one.
Thor: Dark World.
The film that nearly killed off the MCU.
What? It wasn't that bad.
There is a lot to go through with this.
I remember not like...
It's not so much as the stuff that happened on screen, but there was some definite questionable choices on screen. But there was a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes that basically... Oh, it was bad.
Oh, so it's more like when you think about... Like, if you know... Like, I know that I've worked on theater shows that I definitely kind of like... People are like, that was such a good show! And I'm like... It was a horrible experience, and therefore my perception of what the end product is like is kind of different.
Yeah, yeah. But okay. So, this film, original. I'm actually bringing this up because like this is a entire thing that we have to go through with this. All right. Cast. If I remember correctly, they originally had a female director come in to direct it, but
what was her name?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Right.
Like I know this was like an entire thing, and okay, let's see. You know what? Let me ask Google.
Did they?
Who originally was supposed to direct Thor: Dark World? Like this wasn't like an entire thing.
Huh.
Okay, so Patty Jenkins was the director who was originally tasked with avoiding Thor: Dark World.
Avoiding? Directing.
She was originally supposed to direct.
Okay.
She was before she stepped away over creative differences. She stepped away from the project due to creative differences with the studio, and eventually Alan Taylor, who was the director for the film, was put on, and this actually irked the backlash of one Natalie Portman,
right,
who just so happened to play like the main female lead of the Thor series, Jane Foster, which eventually forced Natalie Portman to basically exile herself from the MCU for years.
Gosh. I had no idea.
There were multiple problems behind the scene with this because of production problems and things like that. And then, like, lukewarm reception from audiences, especially with how, like, Iron Man 3 happened.
Yeah.
So people weren't really giving this the amount of praise that it got. But it is an important entry to the MCU because it's the first film in the franchise that openly addresses the plot point of the Infinity Stones.
Right.
Which basically carried on the rest of the MCU up to the last Avengers film. Yeah.
Because there have been Infinity Stones around. Like the Tesseract was one.
Yeah, the Tesseract was one. And there was actually one that was...
But they didn't call it that at the time. They didn't call it an Infinity Stone.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
Was the one... Was the one from Vision, was that?
The one from Vision was in Loki's scepter that he had in the first Avengers. So technically technically, unbeknownst to us, 2 had already been in play at that point.
Wow, yeah.
And Thor Dark World introduced the third one, which was the Ether.
Right. That's the which stone is that?
Reality.
The Reality Stone. That's right.
The red Reality Stone.
Okay.
Basically, it is liquid, but that can form it into a stone.
Cool.
And it was portrayed by the main villain of the film, which I'm the only one who actually knew this actor was the villain of the film, Christopher Eccleston.
Christopher Eccleston, I know who that is.
The Ninth Doctor, and oh my god, they wasted him. How could you waste Eccleston?
Such an underrated Doctor.
He's one of my personal favorites.
He's pretty awesome.
Oh, like there was so much potential in this film, but oh my god, it was wasted so much. It didn't really help the fact that Anthony Hopkins was kind of phoning it in for most of the film. He kind of was. I felt nothing from Odin.
Yeah, yeah.
You can kind of tell that Hemsworth and Hiddleston were trying to do their best with Thor and Loki, which
Isn't that the movie where Odin spends half of it asleep anyway?
No, that's the first one.
Oh!
The second one is where Thor's mom dies.
Huh, yeah. That's right.
And they have to sneak Loki out of Asgard because the Bifrost is shut down, and they want to.
That's the thing that I liked about this movie was I love a good brother story.
Yeah.
And those two in this movie, it was great, and just also like when she died and they go down to like his little Loki's little solitary confinement chamber where he is,
and he shows how distraught he's become.
He looks amazing and the room is lovely, and then he just kind of like drops it all and he's all disheveled and like, oh my gosh,
because he felt the loss too, because like even though he's done all this stuff, like Frigga, Thor's mom and Loki's adoptive mom was the only one that still really cared for him.
She took care of him. Yeah,
that still saw the things in him. When Thor was a little bit more like remorseful and dismissive, Odin just basically dismissed him outright.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's one of the good things that came out of this film was like the continued like narration between like Thor and Loki, and also the plot, forwarding of the plot that Loki basically survives a fake death at the hands of the Dark Elves and basically usurps Odin as the ruler of Asgard, just taking Odin's form. Which we're just like...
That's right. Oh, gosh.
And then the Asgardians take the Aether off of Asgard because it's not wise to keep two Infinity Stones together, and they give it to the Collector, who we see more of in Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's right.
And then in the end credits of the film, Thor basically brings him puts himself on Earth to protect them for a time, basically because he knows he's not ready to be king and wants to be with Jane, and that plot point didn't really pan out so well because
ready to be king.
I remember hearing so much like at the end of Thor Dark World, like MCU was done. Like there's no way they could be able to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. But then
then came probably one of the best films in the entire franchise. I cannot sing the praises of this movie enough.
I love this one. This one.
Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Oh. Yes. I love this movie. Like, just, it kind of just, I really enjoyed Captain America, and then this one just tied that bow.
This film serves a lot of different purposes, both for just Captain America as a character and basically the progression of the MCU as a whole. Like, this film actually sets up much more than the original Avengers did.
Yeah.
Because, we see Captain America is basically now working for S.H.I.E.L.D. in a Jason Bourne-like way.
Yep.
Like, he's basically born in the MCU by this point.
Yep.
And we ultimately learn that Hydra, the group that we thought Captain America and everyone else defeated in World War II, has survived and basically infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. from the inside and took over.
Yeah.
And that reveal scene when they were talking to basically the Data version of Zola. Thank God Toby Jones came back for that, because he gave a chilling performance in that scene, even though he only had one scene in that movie. Good enough to bring him back for that one scene.
Yeah.
Oh. And you just see the realization as it comes up, and it shows that they were not only, like, behind, like, Nick Fury's attempted assassination, but also behind the deaths of Tony Stark's parents.
Right.
Which plays into Civil War.
Oh, that hurt so much, Civil War.
That scene alone set up so much down the line. And then you get the revelation that the Winter Soldier, which, for those that haven't seen the comics, this was a shock to them, but it was Bucky, and he survived.
Yeah.
And we get more characterization about that later on, but we also... there's so much good to talk about this film. The choreography in the film is amazing. The stunt work, the action shots, the cinematography is fantastic. And
who directed this one?
The Russo brothers. This was the first film in the MCU that the Russo brothers directed. They would later go on to direct Civil War and the final two Avengers films.
Okay, I see
and
that.
They are basically, I have to give them major props, because they basically helped save the MCU with this. Oh my god.
They picked up the ailing corpse of the franchise and revived it. For
the longest time, this was my number one film in the MCU.
Oh, yeah.
More than Avengers and than anything else. It's on my recent ranking, I ranked it as number 2, but I still rank it very highly.
Yeah.
It holds up amazingly well today.
Yeah.
Like, especially, like, how the perception, like, of Hydra... And this actually affected the television shows as well, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. felt the effects of, like, the Hydra infiltration in that as well.
Yeah.
So, that was, like, a nice continuity that they did. So, obviously... expectations were high following it, and then following it was a film no one expected to be as damn good as it was.
Yeah.
Like, it took us away from Earth, away from everything that we knew, away from the Avengers. There's no way that this could work.
But it did.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, everybody listening right now can deny it all you want. Is like, oh no, this film was going to be great right from the off and everything like that. Look back at the promotional footage and put yourself in the mindset of 2013, pre-August 2014 kind of crowd.
Yeah.
There is no way that you would have said, this is going to be one of the funniest films in the MCU and one of the best films in general of the franchise. And if you say you are lying. We all thought it was going to be bad.
Yeah.
Even with the cast that they had. But oh my god. There's so much in this.
It was great.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, okay, James Gunn obviously knows what he's doing when he directed this. Like, oh my god. First, the soundtrack. Including all of the classic songs, rock songs, like 70s, 80s, everything like that. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Like,
I have that soundtrack in my car.
It's a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
And so it gives it a distinct style and feel that's different from like all of the films that followed it, and even films since.
Yeah.
Which is really important to stand out in a franchise this expansive.
Yeah.
And then you have everyone in the main Guardians of the Galaxy, like Zoe Saldana as Gamora, Dave Bautista as Drax, who no one expected him to be as great as he was. He was like the most amazing straight man.
Yep.
Nothing flies over my head. My reflexes are too quick. I would catch it. The voice of Bradley... I knew Bradley Cooper was going to be amazing as Rocket as soon as I saw that. Then, oh god, who's... Chris Pratt as Star-Lord. Like, oh my god, so great. So damn great. But, who thought the emotional weight of the entire thing would be Vin Diesel as Groot?
Yeah.
A tree that can only say 3 words. I and am and Groot. Usually in that order.
Usually in that order.
And I did quote the film. I don't care. But then, you have so many other great characters in there as well. Like, The cast is perfect.
Yep. Well, like, Lee Pace was involved.
Lee Pace was great. Like, he not the best villain, but he played his part well. Michael Rooker as Yondu.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Karen Gillan as Nebula. Take my heart now, Queen.
I like her.
And then you had like cameo side appearances with John C. Reilly, Glenn Close, which I was like,
what?
Cruella? That you?
Yeah.
But I
was like, Gertrude?
Yeah, her IMDb's weird, folks.
Yep.
And then you had the shocker, this was not expected, the first appearance of Josh Brolin playing Thanos.
Oh, yes.
Because a different actor portrayed Thanos at the end of the first Avengers.
Yeah.
And when they showcased him, and it's like, that's how I felt when I saw that in theaters.
Oh, gosh.
Because no one expected him to show up.
Is Deadpool part of
No.
Marvel? Okay, I was wondering, because Josh Brolin is in Deadpool 2 or something, right?
They actually made a joke about that. In the film.
In Deadpool?
Yep. Can it, Thanos?
Oh.
The X-Men films are a thing we do need to talk about another time.
Oh gosh,
That might just be next year's Marvel March unless we talk about it sooner.
Okay, sounds good.
But it's so funny, but also knows how to handle its serious moments as well. But also handle it with the same kind of wittiness and grace that the characters exemplify, because these characters have a much different personality and perspective than like the people on Earth.
Yeah.
Which gives a lot of creative freedom. So this film basically expanded the MCU like never before, and it it introduced the fourth Infinity Stone, which was the Power Stone, and they fully explained the existence for everyone who would be your average moviegoer or like a newcomer to like Marvel in general, what these stones were about.
Yeah.
And it showcased it in a pretty good way when the slave girl basically blew up just by touching the stone. Just because she didn't want to be under the Collector's influence anymore.
Right.
Which I'm like, I understand, but oh no, why would you touch this after this entire explanation?
It's like if Jabba's dancer flung herself into the Sarlacc pit.
Oh, don't fling yourself into the Sarlacc pit. Don't touch an Infinity Stone without proper guidance. And for the love of everything that is holy, don't open the Ark of the Covenant and look straight into it.
But I wanna.
I don't want your head to explode, Hannah.
Oh yeah, it's my most important.
I don't want your head to explode. I don't want your eyes to pop out of your sockets, and I don't want your skin to melt.
Or my brain to fry.
Yes, exactly.
My brain is the most important part of my body.
Exactly. We need to keep you intact.
Okay.
So yeah, arguably those two films like helped save like the MCU and put it back on this track.
Yeah.
Like Captain America with like its solid story and like character progression, and Guardians of the Galaxy having this unbelievable amount of like hilarity that basically served to kind of influence all of the other Marvel films that followed. Honestly, from like a comedy standard, Guardians of the Galaxy kind of influenced the comedy in the MCU going forward.
Yeah, they kind of take themselves a little less seriously after that, I feel like.
In certain aspects.
Sometimes, in some places.
In certain aspects. It's been both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
I love the film in general.
Yeah.
But I also hate that it has set a standard for comedy in some films. Where it's like, you can have comedy, like in these comic book films and everything like that, but you don't have to copy the comedy of Guardians of the Galaxy, because the comedy that's found in the Guardians section of the MCU is unique.
Yeah, that's...
You need to find something comedic for all other aspects.
Get your own comedy.
Exactly. And then came Avengers Age of Ultron. So the first Avengers is great. This Avengers is junk food.
I haven't seen it. When I tell people I haven't seen it, they're not even mad. They're just like, oh, yeah, don't worry about it.
I mean, it is kind of important because it introduces the character of Vision, Quicksilver, and Scarlet Witch.
That's why they're not familiar to me. I was like, who are these people?
Yeah, the Maximoff twins were showcased in the post-credit scene of Captain America: Winter Soldier, but they're fully introduced in this film. And this film is junk food, but there are some good aspects to come out of this.
Yeah.
One, of course, is like further character development for Hulk, Black Widow, and Hawkeye, which honestly they need it.
Yeah, they did.
Because like they don't have their own solo films until the Black Widow movie comes out.
Yeah.
God, let that be good. Please let that be good.
I hope it's good.
Please let that be good. Please let that be good. Scarlett Johansson needs something.
Yep.
She needs something in the MCU to stand out on her own.
Yep.
Aside from being part of Ensemble.
Yep. Absolutely.
But anyway, also aside from that, I have to say, I feel like Ultron was wasted in this film. Like, okay, so I have read, so I'm not your in-depth comic book reader, but Ultron is an enemy in Marvel that is one of the most unique. First of all, his origin is different in the MCU compared to like his thing in the comics.
Yeah.
But they did do the right thing by basing the origin of the character. Basically, Ultron's personality is based after the ones that created him. In this case, in the MCU, Tony Stark is the one that is the base for Ultron.
Okay.
And Ultron is brought to life by James Spader. And if you've seen his character from Blacklist, you know where we're going with this.
Yeah.
Which he does really well with what he's got, with what he's given. But this is probably like my biggest thing with the film is that he's just like most other Marvel villains before him, he's killed off. Which I'm like,
and then they need to go back to the drawing board and get another one.
Like you can defeat a villain, but like you can't always just kill off your villains because then you're gonna run out.
Yeah.
So, and for being as powerful as Ultron, in the concept of his character, where he comes from.
Oh, maybe this is the giant Iron Man I was thinking of, right? Yeah, you said that before, and I said no.
Well, you were thinking of something from Wolverine as well, and I got that.
I don't
This was also the film that introduced like the live-action version of the Hulkbuster armor.
Right.
Because Wanda Maximoff, a.k.a. Scarlet Witch, basically manipulated Hulk's mind to go insane. And Tony basically had to stop him in a giant, like, robot monster fight of him just, like, punching Hulk, just like, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. And then he hits Hulk in the face so hard enough that he spits out a tooth. You just see Robert Downey Jr. with the scaredest face going, I'm sorry.
Oh, gosh.
That fight is just fun.
Uh-huh.
And
I'll take your word for it. I'll look it up later.
Like, it's not the most important film in the MCU from, like, a big perspective, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, I believe there are more important films prior and following this, but, I mean, it stands out. It does lead to character development later on, but it's not the most important of the Avengers films. And people often do reflect that, but I don't think it's, like, worthy of just this meh on the wayside.
Yeah? You think it's worth going back to see?
Oh, yeah. Like I said last episode, there's something to be gained from every single Marvel Cinematic Universe film.
Okay. Noted.
And it was actually right around this time that, aside from, like, ABC stuff, I do want to make a note of this, because this was pretty damn important. Netflix decided to launch their own MCU tie-in miniseries. First one, of course, being Daredevil.
Yeah.
Have you heard or seen of these?
Yeah, I've seen the first 2 seasons of Daredevil.
Oh, the first season of Daredevil was released right around the time Age of Ultron was released. Yeah. And I want to highlight that because, oh my god, that first season!
It was so good. I, for a while, was obsessed with that fight scene that was done in one shot.
In the hallway?
Oh my gosh.
I'm still obsessed with it. That is a hell of a shot.
And then Jessica Jones went on.
And then Jessica Jones went soon after.
They referred to the destruction of New York and how a lot of people have this animosity towards supers because of the destruction that happened. and all that.
We do see more of that in the streamlined movie versions, like, later on as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that we do follow that.
Jessica Jones, I love that show.
Oh, man.
That one's one of my favorites.
Is it also because David Tennant is just a creepy fucker?
Not entirely. I enjoyed him in that show, but I kept on watching it after he wasn't in it anymore.
Yeah.
After his season was done.
More than fair.
Yeah. No, yeah. What's the actor's name?
You mean Jessica?
Kristen Ritter.
Yep.
Yeah.
She was pretty damn engaging in that.
Oh, yeah. Love it.
Yeah, I couldn't go through phase 2 without mentioning, like, the Netflix series, because that was a nice extension that they did on that. It didn't eventually tie in to the MCU in the past, but I have heard rumors that they're going to bring in Chris Cox's Daredevil into, like, MCU possibly in the future. There's been rumors about...
What?
There has been rumors about that for, like, months and almost a year now. And
wow.
I would love...
Okay.
Because Chris Cox's Daredevil is fantastic. Pretty
awesome. Yeah.
Like,
it took me ages to realize that he was the kid in Stardust. That took me ages to figure out. I was like, what the hell? Like,
yeah, it's kind of weird how weird stuff like that happens.
You mean he was little Tristan? Anyway.
And then following that this was kind of a weird film to end Phase 3 on, but it was a nice little...
Phase 2.
Phase 2, yeah. But this was a nice little palate cleanser after Age of Ultron, just as its fun little thing. Ant-Man.
Yep.
Now, for those not familiar, Ant-Man is in the comics, is one of the original founders, I believe, of the
Illuminati.
The Illuminati, yes.
Right? Yes, you said that.
Of the Illuminati and the Avengers.
What's his name?
The original...
Timothy Pym or something?
The original Ant-Man is Hank Pym.
Hank Pym, that's right.
And they wisely actually don't make him the primary Ant-Man in this. They do the second Ant-Man in the comics, Scott Lang. Mm-hmm. And the older Hank Pym in this film, played by Michael Douglas, was fantastic. Mm-hmm. Well done. Like, you can tell, like, he brings, like, the seriousness and, explosiveness that Pym has in the comics, minus the wife slapping.
Gosh.
Yeah, those are some weird times for the character.
Uh-huh.
We really haven't forgiven him for that yet.
No.
Still haven't. Don't think we ever will.
Uh-huh.
But anyway,
He's like a safe cracker or something in that, right?
Yeah, he's basically a thief. He was This was actually introduced in like a small little like excerpts.
Yeah.
Prior to like the film's release. Like that's kind of the big thing about like Marvel films. Like they release like little mini movies and Easter eggs throughout like the internet and like post credits for like movies and stuff like that about certain things.
Yeah.
He was on a newsreel from a woman reporter that was in the first Iron Man film.
Yeah.
Because he was basically a thief that robbed codes from a big organization, like via some Robin Hood shenanigans.
Right. Yes.
And he was basically in prison for it. And he's brought on as the person to use the Ant-Man armor because basically Hank Pym needs help. Mm-hmm. He's like, it's okay, sir. My days of going into places, breaking in, and stealing shit are done. What do you need me to do? I need you to break into a place and steal some shit.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I love that.
That sequence was great.
Oh, man.
And they actually tied that into, like, the future of the Avengers because the place they have to invade in order to get the equipment they need to pull off the heist, they have to invade the Avengers compound. Uh-huh. And then we get a surprise cameo from Falcon. Yeah. Which, I gotta say, Falcon has become one of my favorite characters in MCU. Like, Sam Wilson is such fun. On your left. Don't you dare say it. Don't you dare say it. On your left. Come on!
Oh yeah, I enjoyed that actually. I remember that when he shows up on the roof or whatever, and he meets Falcon. And what did he say to him? Like,
it's the Falcon. Don't worry, you can't see me. I can see you. You can see me.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Hi. I'm Scott. Did he just say hi? I'm Scott.
Yep. Oh, I love it.
Also, I gotta say, Paul
Rudd.
No one expected Paul Rudd to be as great as he was. He has been a genuine treasure throughout the MCU ever since his introduction.
Yeah.
Like, he just brings a wonderful, like, lighthearted, like, comedy and cynicism to it. I think the funniest part of that film is when, Hank and his daughter Hope are basically reconciling because he's telling the truth of, like, what happened to Hope's mom, to, Janet. And Scott's just in the background. It's like, oh, this is nice. This is such a fun little bonding moment. And I basically ruined it, didn't I? Yeah, you did. I'm gonna go make myself some tea. He just walks out. I'm like, oh my god. Now, of course, like the villain of the film was just like by the books, like standards. Like it wasn't really. Well, there wasn't really any meat to those potatoes.
Yeah.
But it was a nice introduction.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it was just fun. It was just so fun to just have something so different from, like, everything that came before it.
Yeah.
Nothing too mind-blowing, but honestly, really fun.
Yeah.
I call that a fun watch. Mm-hmm. It's also a soft lead into the film that would follow it, and we'll get to Phase 3 when we get to Phase 3.
Sorry, folks.
That's gonna be a huge thing to unpack.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's probably gonna be like an hour-long episode.
Oh,
Phase 3 has twice as many movies as the other two.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So, now that we've wrapped up Phase 2, Hannah, I gotta ask, you said you've seen several films through this compared to Phase 1.
Yes, I have seen all of them except for... Oh, wait, no. I haven't seen Iron Man 3 and I haven't seen Age of Ultron. I've seen the other 4, though.
Okay, that's fair. That's perfectly fair. Mm-hmm. Was there a favorite moment in any of them that really stood out to you as like, this is a film that is a highlight of the entire franchise?
Guardians of the Galaxy, just in general. I love that movie so much. Also, just the fact that I love irreverent humor. I love the character of Gamora a lot.
Oh, yes.
Just, like, she's so like prickly and angry, but like she's not playing hard to get. She just is hard to get. Mm-hmm. And she's totally worth it as well. Like, and she's just awesome. I love the thing where like he's playing music or whatever and dancing, and she's like, stop trying to seduce me with your pelvic sorcery or whatever it was. Yep. And like, oh yeah, I wish I had come up with that line.
Zoe Saldana does such good work as Gamora.
I know.
Such good work.
She's great.
She's probably like one of the definite highlights of like just Marvel in general. Mm-hmm. And I can't sing like the praises that she's done as that character enough. Mm-hmm. But I think her biggest highlights of that character come in Phase 3.
Yeah.
Where she's in 3 of those films.
Yeah.
But then again, everybody gets highlights come Phase 3.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that when we get to that. Yeah. For me, like one of my favorite moments, like as I've said, as always, comes down to Winter Soldier.
Yep.
It's just that final battle on one of the helicarriers where Cap is just trying to snap Bucky out of like the Winter Soldier conditioning.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he just won't let him go.
That's one of the ones. Yeah, like. Yep. I told you I love stories about brothers, and I also love stories about like, you know, not necessarily trying to, like when someone you love makes a mistake or isn't themselves, you know, and trying to get them back. It's like, it makes the fight so much more compelling to me.
And we actually see this through like later things like that. Like he doesn't outright forgive Bucky for what he's done as the Winter Soldier. But at the same time, he also doesn't, he can't let him go because he's all he's got. Yep. They're all each other's got. Yep. Like, no one else understands what he's been through other than Bucky. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's his obligation, especially, like, how he apparently died right before his eyes during the first Avenger. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. Grr. I just love Cap's story all throughout MCU, so
yeah,
there is that.
Woo!
But
do we have a question and answer for this episode? Do you have one?
I already asked mine, but do you have?
No.
Do you have one to ask?
I'm trying to think of something kind of like what I asked before. If you could have one of the Infinity Stones, like for a day, which would it be?
Oh God. Oh God.
Time Stone. That seems fun.
Time Stone, Space Stone, and Reality Stone are definitely top 3.
Reality Stone, I wouldn't trust myself with the Reality Stone. There's too much to handle there.
Oh, Reality Stone, there's too much temptation with it.
Too much temptation with the Reality
There's too much temptation with the Reality Stone. There's actually more temptation with the Time Stone, if you think about it.
I just want to... I don't know. I just think it would be really cool to be able to sort of see multiple futures and all that.
Fair. More than fair. But yeah, Time Stone or Reality Stone for me. Mm-hmm. Space Stone, just so I can just, like, go anywhere I want!
Actually, yeah, instant teleport. That's cool.
Teleport is easily, like, one of the top 5 basic superhero powers.
Yep. I wish that I could teleport, actually. Yeah.
Oh, same.
No, wouldn't have to pay for gas. Wouldn't have to pay for transportation. I could visit anybody anytime.
You don't have to pay for flights.
You don't have to pay for flights. I could go anywhere in the world. If I am in the middle of a conversation and I don't want to be having the conversation anymore, I could just leave and they don't know where I went. They can't follow me.
Well, assuming that you're here, you enjoy my presence. I'll assume that.
Yes.
Okay.
What? Yes. And, yeah. If you're walking down the street and you see your ex...
Boom.
You know?
Easy.
I may have changed my mind.
Space Stone?
Maybe.
Hey!
Yeah. I can see more practical use for it.
That and the Reality Stone, I think, are the most practical.
Mm-hmm.
Time Stone is just like convenience.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun to, put an apple there, an apple core, and just kind of like watch it reconstruct itself and then eat that same apple over and over and over again.
Oh, I can tell we're going to have a fun time when we get to Doctor Strange.
Oh, yeah. That was actually the first one that I remember seeing in theaters.
That's going to be an interesting one. Phase 3 is going to be so much fun to get to.
Yeah.
But we will bide our time and wait for next time for that.
Yes.
For now, thank you guys so much for coming by and listening to this episode of the General Geekery Podcast, Marvel March Madness 2021, Part 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, Phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you guys like what you've been hearing from us, make sure to give us a follow and check us out wherever podcasts are found. We're on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts. And if you guys don't have access to any of those streaming services, please, you can check out all of our episodes in chronological order on my personal YouTube channel at Anime Rev Productions. That is Anime Rev Productions on YouTube. And if you want to follow the podcast on social media, we are on Instagram at General Geekery and at Gen Geek Podcast on Facebook and Twitter. Hannah, where can they check you out at?
You can check me out Rolling Dice with My Party every Monday at 7:30 Central on twitch.tv/loadeddiceadventures. I play Petra, the Dragonborn Ranger Rogue, in the homebrewed land of Avenaria.
Excellent.
Oh, there's more things too. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm also on the SPLANCHNIC podcast, which I do with my mom. We talk about just like geeky, nerdy things from the perspective of 2 generations. And I'm also on Instagram at Python Legume.
Excellent. And you guys can check me out on social media, Twitter and Instagram to be precise, at RyuzakiMK7. You guys can also check me out on Twitch as well at that same exact name, RyuzakiMK7. I play a multitude of different games. Most of them are RPG based, but I always love interacting with my chat room and having tons of fun. Everybody pokes fun at me all the time. It's great. And I've recently been expanding into other areas as well. Games with my chat. We recently had Hannah on my stream doing our first episode of Adepticon. Can't wait to do another one of those soon.
It was great. It was like, how many times can I fall off of a random ledge?
It was so fun. The chat seemed to enjoy it and they were cheering you on.
I loved it. It was great.
And then, if you guys want to support the podcast and all the crazy stuff that we do, please consider donating to our Patreon page at patreon.com/generalgeekery. Anytime you pledge to us, you help ensure our podcast growth. We'll ensure that we do merch in the future. We really want to do merch for you guys.
Yeah,
we really want to do it.
Working on it.
Working on ideas now, even as we speak. All that good stuff. You have the chance to possibly win some artwork from our artiste extraordinaire, Hannah Kubiak.
That's me!
You can get early access to all of our episodes days before they go live on all platforms.
Yep.
And even interact in certain polls and everything like that. We're actually going through a poll right now asking what kind of episodes you guys like to see more from us in the future.
Yeah, so go ahead and find that poll and answer it. Even if you're not a patron yet, you can still answer the questions in the poll.
Excellent.
Speaking of our patrons, a little shout out to Brittany H. and Andrew K. for supporting us this
Thank
week.
you so much, guys. We greatly appreciate that and for all your support. Until next time, guys, this has been episode 71 of the General Geekery Podcast, March Marvel Madness MCU Phase 2. For Hannah Kubiak, I'm Donald Kaczynski. Until next time, guys, always remember to keep your geek on.
Always.
Clink, clink.
Clink, clink. That was more like a thunk.
Oh, try again then. There we go.
There we go.
Bye, guys.